Okay, so 1.3 notes, literal equations. Literal equations, and we just talked about this, so we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to make sure that didn't just pause. I hope it didn't, but if it did, oh well. Oh, it might have paused. I don't want it to pause, so hold on. Okay, good. So literal equations are anything that has more than just one variable in it. So for example, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. How many variables are in there? 3. A, b, and c, right? What about y equals mx plus b? There's 4. Y, m, x, and b. All of those things we just talked about are literal equations. Okay? So a literal equation is an equation involving 2 or more variables. And guys, to be honest with you, and I'm not just trying to make you feel good about this year, this is probably going to be the hardest concept you learn all year long. So if you feel confident about it today when you leave my class, you are going to do great this year. Understand? Okay, so ultimately all this does is tell you how to set up a chart. Instead of having to do a flip chart on every problem, just make a do and undo chart. So a D for do and a U for undo. And then it's just a T chart. You work down on the do side, you work up on the undo side, because it's the opposite of what you normally do, right? Okay, so now let's talk about number 1. And this is the same as number 1 on your homework. Okay, so what am I solving for? T. So what I need everybody to go do is circle T. Starts there. That means on the top of my do column, instead of having to write start with T, I'm just going to write T. So what's happening to T up here, guys? Multiplying. And by what? I and R. Sorry. Multiply by I and R. So you took care of your I and your R. What does that leave? P equals. So on your notes and on your work, all you have to do is show the math side. You don't have to write the words anymore. Sound good? Did you take care of everything? So how do we undo P equals? Start P. Okay? What's the opposite of times IR? Divide by IR. And what's the opposite of start with T? Equals T. Are we okay with that? So we worked down on this side. We're going to work up on the other side. So how do I write my answer? P. Then what? Divided by. And as algebra students, we write it as a huge fraction, okay? IR. What does that all equal? Are we done? Did we get T by itself? Good. Let's move on to number 2. It is easy. It is easy. Don't overthink it. Okay? Number 2, what am I solving for? W. So that means on my do column, I'm going to start with a W, and I'm going to go circle where it's at. Now, the W is inside my parentheses, so I have to make sure I take care of the parentheses first. So what's happening inside my parentheses? Say it with confidence. Plus L. I'm going to draw a cursive L so you know that it's not a 1. Okay? Took care of the L, so I'm going to cross it out. What's happening outside the parentheses? Times 2. So I'm going to cross it out. And what's left? Good, equals P. We worked down on that side, so we work up on the undo side. What's the opposite of equals P? Start P. Then what? Divide by 2 and subtract L. So can you write it? What does it look like? P, then what? Divided by 2 minus L equals W. Oh yeah, I forgot to put that equals W on the undo side. Are we okay with that? Not too hard? Okay, let's look at number 3. Uh-oh, there's fraction. Am I in panic mode? No, don't be in panic mode. Okay, just do what you know how. What am I solving for? X, so that goes on my do column. What's happening to X? It's in the numerator, so take care of the numerator first. So add Y. Then what? Divided by 3. Then what? Equals 5. What's the opposite of equals 5? Start 5. Then opposite of divide by 3? Good. What's the opposite of plus Y? Good. So what's my answer here? Oh, equals X. Sorry, undo. Equals X. How do I start this? 5. Then what? Times 3 minus Y equals X. Now do me a favor. Can you simplify? Bless you. Can you simplify anything up there? What? 5 times 3 is what? So we can write 15 minus Y equals X. And there's my answer. Are we okay with that? Okay. So number 4 is trying to trick you. Number 4 is trying to trick you because they threw a what in there? A parentheses and a fraction. But a fraction is what type of problem? A division problem. So when a fraction's on the do side, that means you're doing division. So on the undo side, what do? Okay, so let's talk about this. For B, what is the first thing happening to B? Plus C, because it's inside that parentheses. Take care of that first. Then what's on the outside of the parentheses? Times H. Now, when you see a fraction, I just want you to write it like it looks. Because it's a problem in and of its own, isn't it? What type of problem is it? Division. Okay? And then what's left? Equals A. So what's my opposite of equals A? Start A. What's the opposite of division? Okay. Now, do you remember this rule? When you divide by a fraction, you actually flip and multiply. So let's flip that fraction. What is that going to give me? Which is just? Okay, so with fractions, you need to remember, flip your fractions. Are you okay with that? Does everybody understand why I did that? Okay. Now, what's the opposite of times H? What's the opposite of plus C? What's the opposite of B? Good. So what is our answer here? Okay. A times 2 over H minus C equals what? B. Now, there is one thing. This would be considered right now, but I want you to see something. Can I change the order of this A2? Yes, usually you write the big numbers where? In front. So your right answer would be 2A over H minus C equals B. Does everybody understand that? You always put coefficients first. Sound good? Okay, last problem. What am I solving for? Y. So talk me through this. I'm not going to say anything unless you do. So talk me through this problem. What do I need to do first? Oh, what about my do column? Oh, Y. Okay. Then what? Okay, times Negative 5. Good. Bless you. Don't forget that number or that sign in front of your number, okay? Now what's happening with that 3x? Be careful. Is it subtracting? What type of, bless you, what type of 3 is that? So what's happening? Adding 3x. Okay. Then what? Bless you. I promise I'm going to get those flowers out of here. My husband sent those to me today. I apologize. Okay. So now, what is the opposite of equals 14? Start with 14. Then what? Minus 3x. Then what? Divide by negative 5. What goes on top of my undo? Good. So my answer to this problem is what? Then what? All over negative 5. Good. Y'all feel okay with this? Okay, guess what? Remainder of the period, work on your homework. Ready, go.